They've got a soundproof karaoke room with microphones and everything, so you can like have a little private karaoke party.
Or you can use it to record podcasts when it's not being otherwise used.
Ooh.
Soundproof situation.
Sup, nerds? It's basketball. Welcome to Horse, a basketball podcast about everything except for the wins and losses. My name is Mike Schubert, and I'm joined by my trusted co-host, the Chicago Bulls signing Patrick Beverley to turn the whole season around now. It's Adam Amawala. How's it going? Congratulations to your future NBA champion Chicago Bulls.
You know, I don't really appreciate the tone. I'll be honest with you. I think you're coming in pretty hot for someone who's a Knicks fan, but yes, it is. If the Band-Aid on the Bulls season at Pat Beverley, I don't know that it's going to be wildly effective, but it honestly can't get much worse at this point. Unless they just tank and try to play for a protected top 4 pick, which they would have if they got a top 4, if there was like a Derrick Rose situation where they got really lucky with the old lottery balls, or perhaps a frozen envelope situation. You know, you never know. But at this point, it feels like the best case scenario for this team, if they try, is like a 10th seed play-in, and they'll probably not get into the playoffs. So not great times in Bulls land. Seems better in Knicks land, so congrats, I guess.
Yeah, but Pat Bev is at least fun. And he did say, because apparently he's a Chicago hometown kid, he's got some quotes out there saying that he might really be acting up now that he's in Chicago, which if he wasn't already acting up, I don't know what that means. Like, where does he go from here?
Does he mean like in the city of Chicago or as a Bulls player?
Here's what he said. He was asked about playing for his hometown Bulls, and he said, quote, "It's the city where I'm from, so I don't know what might happen. I might pull some shit out I ain't never did before."
Oh.
So just...
I'm hoping he means on the court and not, out and about on the town. But, he's allowed to go have fun, too.
And hopefully it's on the court things like making half-court shots or something instead of... Oh, I've never body slammed anyone before, so now that I'm on the hometown team.
But given his dramatic celebration last year when the T-Wolves won their play-in game, I can only imagine if the Bulls sneak into the 10th spot, what kind of, ripping his jersey off and crying that is going to ensue.
Well, now I know what to root for and what we should all root for. But we've got some basketball to discuss in this episode. Let's prepare to make those discussions in the best place to do so, which is the Teal Memorial Locker Room. Teal, doing great.
Are you wearing teal right now, or are my eyes deceiving me?
I think it's more of a light blue, but we can say that it's teal for now. We're also both colorblind, so who are we
It might
to
be
say?
red. How can we know?
Maybe it's purple. I believe the official listing on the place that I got it from said sky blue, so I don't think it's teal, but for all intents and purposes, and the fact that this is a podcast and no one can see what I'm wearing, let's say I'm wearing a teal cardigan right now.
I guess you could have just said yes a minute and a half ago, and we wouldn't.
I know, but where would the authenticity be?
I know. We owe it to all of you to be honest about the colors of the shirts that we are wearing, including my pink softball t-shirt that Mike and I were on the same team of. We won the championship, back-to-back champions.
Yes, we did. Back-to-back. And let's make it a three-peat and then a four-peat in these upcoming seasons. But let's talk about some things a bit more relevant. You know who we genuinely do truly owe it to?
I would say our patrons, and especially our newest patrons. We have 2 of them.
Yes. So shout out to our 2 newest patrons, Sally Tamarkin, making good on their promise from before, where if we answered their NB Q&A, they would join. So shout out to Sally, as well as Anna Whipperfirth, who gave a sup nerds.
Yeah, and there's a whole request from Anna that I wanted to honor. So Anna wrote and said, so stoked to be here. Love the show so much. Waiting patiently to be able to order my horse jersey down the road. And then Anna says, Adam, you do a killer Kermit impression. Thank you very much. But how's your Rizzo the Rat? I know I'm not a producer, so I wouldn't have a shout out each week, but I'd love to hear your Rizzo. Thank you for making me a part of this. Muppets Christmas deep cut reference in the OG shout out episode. So, yes. Do you remember that specific reference from the Muppet Christmas Carol?
Yeah, I don't remember what causes it, but I do know the line of "Thank you for making me a part of this."
Oh, there you go, Anna. You just got it from Mike. I can give you my version of it. I actually looked up the clip. It's when Gonzo is showing Rizzo around the city, and the windows are very dirty. And
okay,
when
that's my favorite part of the whole film. That's my favorite part of the whole film.
Scrooge was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, a covetous old wretch. And then as he looks in the window, it's all clouded, so he uses Rizzo like a towel and just wipes it off.
He just smacks him against the window first, too, and then
and as he's going back and forth, Rizzo goes, "Thank you for making me a part of this."
It's my favorite part of the film, hands down.
It's pretty fabulous. And I think I mentioned this on a previous episode, but I ordered an ornament for my sister, who is a huge Muppet Christmas Carol fan, from Etsy that says, "Light the lamp, not the rat." Pretty great.
Another great bit. My second favorite part is when he goes over the fence and then sneaks under it to get his jelly beans. And then sneaks back, and Gonzo's confused, and Rizzo is confused that Gonzo is confused.
Right, because film. He has to jump off the top because...
Of course.
He
could have just snuck under. Yep, it's great. It's so good. It's
perfect.
So good.
Perfect film.
Well, thank you both. And of course, thank you to our existing producer level patrons, Polly Burge, Kendra Hadley, Salvatore Testa, Trust the Process, Siobhan Ellsbury, He Sells Seashells, Don't Go Chasing Taco Falls, Bang, Bang, Roast Beef Debris, Kay the Conqueror, Basketball is Life 2, Michaela Loves Allison, Denver Steam Nuggets, Anna Borgelli, Weird Questions, 9-time All-Star Steph Curry for 3,
Bang-a-lang-a-lang,
Lobster Bisquet, Hi Trish, Ginger Spurs Boy, Nicole Arsenal, Something Mean About the Knicks, Stubby Boardman Gets Paid, and Chase Underrulo. Now, Adam, you know who also we owe something to, but it's a little different. We owe them an ad read.
Yeah, we owe these people an ad read because they sponsored our episode. So with that being said, this show is sponsored by BetterHelp. When you're at your best, you can do great things, but sometimes life gets you bogged down. You might feel overwhelmed. At the end of the day, we all want to feel our best at any given moment, and therapy is one of the ways that can help you get there. Now, usually at this point, we talk a little bit about our personal experience, and I am happy to say that I have actually had personal experience with BetterHelp. Over the past month, I have been seeing a therapist via BetterHelp, and I have to say, I've had a really good experience. I get to meet with this person once a week. It can be more if you wanted to, but I get to meet with him once a week. My favorite element of it is that you can also correspond with your therapist in between sessions if you want to check in about something, if you want to send a text, that sort of thing. And it's been great. Now, in my particular case, I really vibed with the person that I was matched with. They take you through a whole list of what you're there to accomplish, what you're looking to work on. They do their best to find an appropriate therapist for you. Now, if it works out like it did in my case, great. If it doesn't, it's very easy to change therapists at any time. But I can officially really recommend BetterHelp because I've had a very good experience with them. So if you're thinking of giving therapy a try, BetterHelp is a great option. It's convenient, flexible, affordable, and entirely online. All you do is fill out a brief questionnaire, as I alluded to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. So if you want to live a more empowered life, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/horse today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/horse.
That's fantastic. Love that you're having a good experience with them.
Yeah.
Now, this is normally where we ask each other about live shows that we got going on, but I think it's going to be the same answer for both of us. There's a horse live show happening soon. It's happening on March 1st. It's going to be a digital live show where Adam and I make common style dad couplets about the NBA top 75, and you, the audience, get to decide who put together a better performance. It's going to be silly. It's going to be goofy. And you can get tickets right now at bit.ly/horse3123. That's horse, all lowercase, and then the numbers 3123. I am absolutely stoked to do this.
I am very excited. Have you started writing your couplets yet? I have not.
I haven't either, but I feel like now that the All-Star game happened, I can be in the correct brain space to do it. And I'm very much looking forward to getting those thoughts down on paper. And by paper, I mean a notes app, because I don't carry around notebooks.
Naturally.
What am I, 87?
Naturally. But we did get a little practice run in when I wished Mike a happy birthday via couplet, and then he responded in kind with a couplet of his own. So we are ready to go. I'm very excited about it. And I hope many of you can attend, but if not, you can always access it after the fact.
Yes, you can get access to a replay. So if March 1st at 7 p.m. Eastern is not a good time zone for you, don't sweat it. You get a YouTube live link and you can watch it after the fact. It'll have the live chat replay. So if anyone was typing stuff in the chat, you'll get to see what was typed as well. So yeah, it's going to be a fun show. March 1st. Again, tickets are at bit.ly/horse3123.
Absolutely.
And now, should we get into NBQ&A? Adam, what do you got for us?
Yeah, let's do it. So we actually have two NBQ&As today. The first comes from patron Lobster Bisquet. The question is, what are your thoughts on the durability of this era of big men? I'm thinking guys like Chet Holmgren and Victor Wembanyama. Huge talent, but larger risk for injury and short tenure. question mark. What do you think? I mean, obviously the role of the big man has changed dramatically in the past 10, 20 years in terms of people just being more athletic, the Kevin Durant's of the world who are 7 feet tall and playing like point guards. Where do you stand on how big men are able to hold up given what they're being asked to do these days?
I worry about the injury proneness of some players, but I don't know that it necessarily has to be just the big guys. We've seen some big guys do pretty well injury-wise. Like, for the most part, Giannis has been pretty healthy throughout his career. Jokic has been pretty healthy. So I don't know if it's just like a big guy equals injury risk, but I think with people like Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren, and we saw with Kristaps Porzingis, if you're that tall and you're very lanky, it just feels like you're more at risk for injury. So I would hope that the team's medical staffs, which are only getting better and better, can help people get back on the court sooner. And that's, I think, the coolest thing with this era of the NBA is that, yeah, people are getting hurt more, but I think it's just because the intensity of the play is up. People are playing so much basketball as kids, like AAU stuff, just because you're playing so much basketball younger. I think some body parts are breaking down earlier. However, we have players get what used to be career-ending injuries like Achilles ruptures or ACL tears, and then Kevin Durant comes back and he's the same player.
Right.
So I do appreciate that recovery seems to be a lot better. So hopefully, even if these guys do suffer some injuries, the medical teams get them back on the court as soon as they can. And big picture wise, we would just hope that later in life you don't have this situation where it's like, oh, my knees are so bad I can't walk, or like it hurts to stand. Like, that's way more important. And it seems like that's becoming less of a problem.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it always is those players, the very tall, lanky people that like, they almost just look awkward. So I think mentally you're like, I don't feel like that person's knees are going to work forever. But Kevin Durant, certainly he's had a share of injuries, but he looks very much like all of those players. Not quite as tall, but he's a very tall man. And he has had, I mean, I don't know, is he like a top 10 player of all time? He's close, I think, top 10, top 20. So, and also, unfortunately, in my case, looking at someone like Lonzo Ball, like he is a fairly normal sized person for an NBA player, and they cannot figure out his knee, and no one really knows what his career is going to be like. So I think people assume that big men get hurt more because big tree fall hard. And sorry to use medical terminology like that. But yeah, I hope that that's not the case. I think I would feel robbed as a basketball fan if we never got to see what Victor Wembanyama could be, or even Chet Holmgren. In Holmgren's case, it's a little tougher because the injury he suffered, it's a Lisfranc fracture, I believe, to his foot, which is like a super specific and really difficult to recover from injury. So unfortunately for him, it's unclear like how that's going to affect him moving forward. But yeah, as for Wemby, I mean, I don't know. I feel like he's still growing. He might be 8 feet tall by the time he's in the NBA.
We'll find out. We'll have to see.
We will find out. The second question comes from Mitchell. And the question is, it was a two-part question, but we're just going to focus on the WNBA aspect of it. This is more focused towards you, Shubes, and I'm sorry to bring up an unfortunate topic, but do I start cheering for the New York Liberty because Brianna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu are super awesome, or do I stick with Seattle because that's what I decided to be my team because Mike convinced me 2 years ago? With Sue Bird retiring and Brianna Stewart moving on, I'm inclined to go cheer for Stewie in her new town, but I don't want to diss Seattle. What should I do? Thanks, Mitchell, someone who asked for Seattle Storm gear for Christmas.
The joy is that with this particular situation, you can kind of do both because the Liberty are going to be good immediately and the Storm are going to be good later on. And this is something that I kind of did when the Knicks were actively tanking in the mid-2010s, like actively trying to be a bad basketball team. I wasn't watching a lot of Knicks games because it was just a bad basketball product. And I was living in Oakland at the time, and I was there during the Warriors' first championship run. And I just went to a bunch of Warriors games and watched a bunch of Warriors, and I knew it was going to be like a temporary fling, but I figured, while my favorite team is a dumpster fire, I will watch this team that seems fun and up and coming. Then it became less fun because they were way too good, and I would never say that I'm truly like an official like Warriors fan, but I still really enjoyed going to those games, and I like rooting for them, and I always will root for them just because I enjoyed being in Oakland and seeing them and seeing that first championship run and going to the parade and that kind of stuff. But yeah, when they became too much of a juggernaut, it felt a little strange. And now that the Knicks are good again, cool. With this, you can kind of still appreciate Brianna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu, but the Storm are going to be fun. They're making a bunch of high risk signings, just like these young, unproven players that have never played in the WNBA before or haven't really played a lot. So they'll just be fun and scrappy, and maybe they'll surprise some people. So I would say, don't toss out your Storm fandom, but if they are bad and they are rebuilding, I think it's okay to temporarily just enjoy a team that is a bit more competent, and then, go back to your old reliable. You're not losing it. You're just also appreciating another program, especially if they're run at the helm by one of your favorite players from before. If the Yankees ever traded one of our best players and he went to another team, I'd be happy for that success. But, I think it's okay. You can like both teams. You don't have to completely exchange one for the other.
There you go. And an unexpected shout out to Mike for the first baseball reference of the episode. This usually doesn't happen.
Let's go. Oh, I've done it indeed. Well, yeah, that was a very fun NB Q&A. We had two of them, more like NB 2NA.
Oh, he's done it again.
He's done it. Now let's get into full court press very quickly. Get it like the news.
I do.
First piece of news, let's talk about the NBA All-Star Weekend. How was your viewing experience of it? I know you always really enjoy All-Star Weekend and watching all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
How'd you feel?
So the only things that I have not watched were the celebrity game and the draft itself. So I can speak to everything else. I'll give you some grades, okay? Rising Stars Challenge on Friday. Honestly, It was
great.
A to A+. Mic'd up Jose Alvarado was one of my favorite things of the whole weekend. There was a point at which he was mic'd up, which I've never really seen during a basketball game. You see it in baseball because, frankly, as much as I love baseball, there's a hell of a lot more standing around. But in basketball, obviously, it's hard when you're sprinting up and down the court. But at one point, Jose Alvarado, he misses a three while he's mic'd up, and he's like, I'm not going to do that again. So at one point, he steals the ball, and as he's running up to three-point line, he says something to the effect of like, I'm going to hit this shit, and then just pulls up and drains it. It was incredible. He ends up hitting the game winner. So the whole Rising Stars thing, just really, really well done. I very much enjoy the way that they're doing it. And people were actually playing hard, which is cool. The skills challenge may be worse than I've ever seen a version of it. I mean, there was a shooting component where I believe it was the Antetokounmpo brothers and then Drew Holiday filling in. They must have taken 25 shots and made 2 of them. It was completely embarrassing. Not so great. 3-point contest, always pretty reliable. It was fun. I enjoyed it. And then the dunk contest, it's always this cyclical, like dunk contest is dead, dunk contest is back, dunk contest is dead, dunk contest is back. And in this case, I mean, wow. Trey Murphy, very, very good. Probably would have won in a lot of other years. Now, is it kind of not great that best dunker by far was someone who's only played 4 NBA games? Yeah, maybe not. But Mac McClung put on an absolute show. To me, his performance was like a top 5 all-time performance. Just when you think about like 6'1" white dude pulling out just unbelievable dunks, making them all on the first try. So to get back to my grading, skills challenge, F-. 3-point contest, solid B. Dunk contest, will give it an A. And then the game, it was a B. I mean, like the B-, C+. It was like, it had its moments. There was a point where they were kind of going back and forth, just shooting increasingly absurd 3-pointers. And that was fun. Especially Jason Tatum got really hot. But I mean, the just kind of utter lack of effort across the board. And apparently it was the lowest rated NBA All-Star game in many years. And that checks out. So anyway, those are all my thoughts. What are your thoughts?
I saw the 3-point contest, thought it was great. Was very happy that Julius Randle, who was a late addition because there was an injury, he got added, I think 2 days before. And then they interviewed saying, have you practiced? He was like, I did it once. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. The fact that he didn't lose made me really happy, especially because one of the guys I was watching it was talking trash. And he was saying that not only does he think Kevin Huerter will perform better than Julius Randle, but he thought that Kevin Huerter was a better basketball player than Julius Randle. And I was like, that is blasphemy. Yeah. So then for Kevin Huerter to do worse than Julius Randle made me feel very, very, very happy. Then the dunk contest, I thought it was good. I am a little bit on Kenny Smith's side, though, because Kenny Smith, one of the broadcasters, was talking a lot of trash against the Houston Rockets because KJ Martin Jr. was one of the dunkers and he's on the Rockets. He was taking a lot of shots at the Rockets being bad. And then he was also taking shots at Mac McClung for not actually being an NBA player. And like, it was rude, but also like, I kind of agree. Like, it's easy to practice dunks a lot when you're not on an NBA team and you're not studying the schemes of all these defensive things. Like Trey Murphy is a legitimate player on the Pelicans who plays legitimate minutes and truly contributes to the team. Mac McClung is still a good player. Like he's won G League Rookie of the Year. It's not like he's some scrub. It's not like he was a Instagram or YouTube.
Right. It's not like they got Jordan Kilgannon to be in the dunk contest. Yeah.
Right. So at least he is on a team and he does play hard and stuff. But I just feel like he had more time throughout his day to prepare his dunks. But that being said, when we talk about things that we don't enjoy about All-Star Weekend, it's people not caring enough. And in the three-point contest, people clearly cared enough. Damian Lillard clearly wanted to win, and he kicked everybody's butt. Tyrese Halliburton had a good round too. He clearly put an effort at his first All-Star Weekend. So yeah, just to see someone really try hard was cool. I thought Trey Murphy's dunks were really good. I liked that Jericho Sims tried to be fun, but his cheesy paper envelope one was very disappointing.
It didn't help that he unsuccessfully ripped the envelope. It looked like someone at the Oscars who can't quite get it open, and then there's that weird awkward moment.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but I'm just glad that he was there. He was another late addition, so him just being there was cool. But yeah, I think the big problem with the All-Star game is that the players aren't really trying anymore, and you can't expect the players to try very hard, because if you got injured during the All-Star game, it would be so silly. But that being said, you see other sports where people try. Like baseball's All-Star game is great. They still try really hard, and it's structured in a way where, it's still a competitive game without people kind of mailing it in and stuff.
I don't know that I really agree with the assessment that they shouldn't try because what if they get hurt? Because growing up watching All-Star games, you can go back and we'll share a link to this. I think it was the 2001 All-Star game. You watch that game and you feel like you're watching an NBA Finals game. Like they took it that seriously. And these are the greats, this is Kobe Bryant and Shaq and Kevin Garnett and all these guys who I'm sure it was just as much of a risk of injury then as it is now. I don't know what has changed and why we've come so far from people actually competing in it. Even if it were hey, we're going to goof around for the beginning part of the game and then during crunch time we're going to get really serious, I think I could live with that. But just kind of walking through the entire game, I don't know. I mean, Kobe Bryant broke his nose in an All-Star game one time. And I'm not saying that's a good thing, but
sure.
What's fun about the All-Star game is that you are seeing the best players in the world, but it doesn't feel fun when none of them are actually doing the things that make them great.
Right. So I don't know. All these people are trying to come up with ways to fix it and incentivize it and stuff like that. I don't know what the solution is, but it's a shame because the first year they introduced the Elam ending, folks were really trying and it was cool and it was fun to watch. And then this time it just seemed like it was a layup line and it's just why bother?
Right.
And I don't know how to fix it. I don't know what the answer is. I did think the draft thing was very cool and fun. And I thought it was so whack that the NBA didn't want someone to be the last pick. So they drafted the reserves first and then the starters. But then they didn't put everybody on the stage. So Jaren Jackson Jr. was still alone on a stage. So it was very obvious that he was the last pick. They do all this rigmarole to try to not hurt anyone's feelings, but then they don't actually solve the problem.
Yeah.
It was very, very, very silly. But I did appreciate Jokic not wanting to be the last starter. So when it came down between him and Markkanen, he just walked to LeBron's team before he chose him. I think LeBron was going to pick him, but it was very funny.
That's
Jokic is
very
a very funny dude. So yeah, I would hope that we can find a world where the players try a little bit harder. Don't know what the solution is, but yeah, I watched maybe 4 minutes of the first quarter and then didn't watch the rest of it. It was just not worth the time.
There was a period during the third quarter, I think, where Jason Tatum scored 30 points in the third quarter or something absurd, and he could not miss.
Sure.
He and Lillard were kind of going back and forth, just shooting almost half-court shots and making a lot of them. So that part was cool. It was kind of like Steph Curry. I believe it was last year that he was just shooting from increasingly absurd distances. But yeah, all in all, I would say a mostly good All-Star weekend. Did you see the celebrity game at all?
I did not. Was it good?
I did not. I didn't see it.
No. Well, look, until they invite us, we're just boycotting it,
Exactly.
We're not going to watch it. But All-Star overall, fun stuff. And I had a good time watching the events that I did. Only other thing to talk about here in Full Court Press, Russell Westbrook is now a member of the Los Angeles Clippers, and I'm so happy. I think this is so funny.
Listen, as someone who has moved several times, I'm totally understanding of someone not wanting to move.
Right. And the Clippers players wanted him, and the coaches seem excited to have him. Tyronn Lue, the coach of the Clippers, seems stoked about it. And it just would be so funny. After all the hate and vitriol Russ got for being on the Lakers and everything, even though once he moved to the bench, he was pretty fine. Not great, but solid. if he plays well for the Clippers and helps them through the season, through a playoff push, it'll just be so good, especially for people like me who really like Russell Westbrook. And I feel bad, like, he isn't necessarily the greatest player, and he can be a stubborn player, but he's a really nice person. And I feel like sometimes the hatred goes beyond basketball. He's a good dude. There were all these articles about how in the bubble, he tipped the wait staff in the hotel like tens of thousands of dollars, just making sure that people are doing well. And he seems really appreciative of everyone who's given him an opportunity and all the people that help him. And he seems like just such a nice guy. So I feel like his hatred that he receives isn't necessarily earned. And I would love to see him not even just play well, but just be happier on the Clippers. And maybe the fans will appreciate him more. But it's just very funny since the Lakers and the Clippers play in the same building and he had so much hatred as a Laker. And maybe people will really like him as a Clipper.
I hope so. It would be amazing if they matched up in the playoffs. I mean, at this point, I don't even know if the Lakers are going to make the playoffs. But if there were a situation where that happened, it would be very, very funny to see Westbrook knock the Lakers out of the playoffs.
It'll be great. We'll have to see. So that will conclude Full Court Press. And now we will close out this episode with a very fun interview with longtime repeat guest, our official WNBA correspondent, Jordan Ligons-Robinson, who you might notice now has a second last name. She got married in between the last time we had her on the show and now, which is super fun. Just a good interview talking about WNBA free agency and the future of the league and potential expansion and WNBA fandom. Just one of those really good talk about all sorts of things WNBA related conversations. That'll close out the episode. It's a fun one. As promised, we have a very special interview for this episode with a very special familiar voice. It is Jordan Ligons, freelance writer, freelance host, all-around busy person, and our official WNBA correspondent. Jordan, welcome back to the pod. Thank you for wearing your Cash Considerations patron jersey. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. A lot has happened since the last time I was on with you guys. So many things, but I'm happy to be back.
We are happy to have you back. Many things in your life. You got married in between last time you were on the show and today, correct?
Yes, I did. I'm Jordan Ligons-Robinson now. Got a new last name.
Let me retroactively say it's not Jordan Ligons on the pod. It's Jordan Ligons-Robinson on the pod.
Well, we can customize a new horse jersey with that on the back of it, and then it'll be, since it's hyphenated, it'll be like a Tetakumpo jersey where you're like, do the letters fit?
Probably not.
I was imagining adding Robinson to the end of the Cash Considerations on the back. So Considerations - Robinson is the New Jersey. Well, of course, we've brought you on because not only have there been lots of things happening in your life, but there's also been lots of things happening in the lives of everyone playing in the WNBA. There were lots of trades. There were some exciting ones. There were some that Adam and I have already talked about being really bad, with like the De'Erica Hamby basically being traded for being pregnant trade, which sucked. And then there's big free agency moves that some people enjoy, but I, as a very biased Seattle Storm fan, do not enjoy, namely Brianna Stewart joining the New York Liberty. Are there any particular moves of all of them that you think are the biggest / most monumental of the trade season / of free agency?
Oh my gosh. Well, there's been so many. I think if I could cheat with my answer, I think just the whole free agency in general. You know, the fact that everybody is talking about it, how it's on everybody's feed, how it was so many blockbuster trades to the point where it kind of forced mainstream media to talk about it as well. So that is a huge win for the WNBA. And, you know, even the Brianna Stewart trade, I know it hurts Seattle Storms fans, but it seems like she did it for the betterment of the league. She wanted to make sure that she went to the biggest city in the league to make sure to continue to grow it, to add, you know, rivalries between the Las Vegas Aces, cross-country rivals. And I think it's the era of the super team in the WNBA right now. And I think it's wonderful. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I think I have to try to take myself out of the biased Storm fandom, but I do think it will make it for a compelling season, just having the super teams. I think you're right that the nature of the free agency, I think, led to more drama, just because I think super teams, for better or for worse, are just something that galvanizes fandom. People either think it's cool and they're excited to see all these great players team up, or they're angry, like with the Heat back with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, where they think it's unfair and they're this Goliath. But then at the same time, like, everyone wants to see the super team get taken down. So yeah, I think it is interesting where what you have right now at the WNBA free agency is like, it really feels like it's going to end up just being Liberty versus Aces in the finals, but that allows for a team to be fun and, you know, scrap their way through, upset them. It's going to be a very interesting season. Just right off the bat, you have like the two big contenders, and like, how does Candace Parker fit in with the Aces?
It probably hasn't been, Mike, for you since Kyrie and KD signed with the Nets over the Knicks, that you got as many like, hey, just checking in, are you okay? Texts, other than the Brianna Stewart going to the Liberty.
Yeah, not as many this time, but also, like, I don't think that the Brianna Stewart to the Liberty is going to be such a catastrophic failure, because she seems to have like a normal head and she thinks the earth is round and that Jewish people exist. So I think,
what a low bar for a new player coming to New York.
Very low bar, very low bar. No, I think it's gonna be good. I don't know why, but when Courtney Vandersloot signed, I felt a lot better about this Liberty team. At first, I was like, well, this is the WNBA's dream, having Brianna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu on the same team so they can just plaster their faces everywhere. Jonquel Jones was an MVP just 2 years ago, so I feel like she gets lost in this conversation. She is also a very great player. And then Benijah Laney, who really put the Liberty on her back for a couple seasons, she's also a part of this team. So I was like, okay, is this all going to work? And then Courtney Vandersloot, the point god that she is, it just put calmness in my heart. I was like, okay, this is actually going to be really great. This is going to be really great for them, because you have one of the best passers in the league passing to a Brianna Stewart, Jonquel Jones, or a Sabrina Ionescu. It's really hard to beat that.
Well, I was at the Barclays Center last week for a Bulls-Nets game, and the two of them were there, kind of making their grand first appearance together at the Barclays Center. And I feel like it kind of it hurt Mike's feelings a little bit that I posted that photo on the Jumbotron on the horse account. Really, my angle was just like, can either of you play for the Bulls right now? Because this is a goddamn mess. We're losing to a Nets team with 4 players.
Yeah, I think Brooklyn wants them to suit up before Chicago.
So obviously you've got the two teams right now that everyone is thinking is going to be the top contenders, with the Aces in Las Vegas and the Liberty in New York. Are there any teams that you're looking at that you think are sneaky, flying under the radar as don't count them out contenders?
Yes, totally. And that is the Mystics to me. The Washington Mystics were one of those teams that, you know, a couple close games at the end of the season, and they are far into the playoffs. They make a deep run. And this season, Elena Delle Donne, this was her first time not rehabbing in almost 4 years. So she's healthy. She's ready to go. You have Shakira Austin, who had an amazing rookie season and really became an anchor of them on offense and on defense. So she's coming back after playing overseas, after killing it overseas, I should say. So she's going to be stronger, smarter. And then they got Brittany Sykes from my Sparks, who is a defensive menace and has led the season in steals for 2 years in a row. So now and Natasha Cloud, who is their leader. Now you have all of these kind of sneaky great players, especially on the defensive end. And then Elena Delle Donne that's fully healthy. You have Christy Tolliver coming back to the Mystics. When the last time she was there, they won a championship. She kind of plays part-time. But when she does come back and play, she'll be a great piece, even just voice of wisdom on the sideline. So I feel like a lot of people are talking about the Aces and the Liberty, but the Mystics are right there. And I think, you know, they're going to surprise some people with a playoff berth or even a deeper run in the playoffs.
Okay. That'll be very interesting to look out for. That'll be fun. We'll have to see if they kind of sneak their way into the conversation. I also think beyond just like the product on the court and the teams that are being put together, I feel like there's more emphasis on some of the issues that were going on with the league. We had Brianna Stewart talking about trying to make that push for charter flights and all of that, because of the extra attention that the league is getting, and because I think didn't they have like a new round of funding last season and stuff? Do you think that some of those other improvements might start to come along where you'll see things like better flight situations and just overall like better treatment and facilities and stuff like that for the players?
We're hoping so. We are wanting that to kind of start heading into that direction. The conversation around the charter flights, and specifically Brianna Stewart, is kind of piggybacking off of Brittany Griner. She has to fly charter for security reasons, and so the Phoenix Mercury will be most likely flying charter with her. And so Brianna Stewart is kind of like, well, this is an opportunity for all of us to fly charter. This is something that is necessary for all of us. And it kind of goes into that bigger conversation of why are professional athletes like crammed into, economy class seats, getting layovers and canceled flights and lost baggage, like all of these things that us normal people have to go through. They should not have to do that and then have to go play on the biggest stage the next day, or having, schedules conflicted because of their flights. And it's probably not going to happen this season, and hopefully we're making progress towards next season. I just hate that it's going to take a game being canceled because the flights get canceled, or because there was a layover and they have to move the time back. Like really immature and amateur things that are going to have to happen for us to really realize, okay, this needs to be a priority.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm saying this kind of tongue in cheek, but like imagine if the WNBA were going on during December and they were flying Southwest. Like you're just not going to play a lot of games probably.
Yes, and that's ridiculous. That is not a thing that the NBA has to go through, or any other professional leagues. Kathy Engelbert, the commissioner, she's been really cagey about wanting to say, yes, we are going to fix this and this is how, but she just keeps saying, we need a sponsor, we need money. All of our efforts are going into marketing right now. We're trying to expand the league. This doesn't seem like a priority, but the players are saying this is a priority. So at some point you have to listen to the players who are actually on the flights and doing all of these things that need to better their game and make sure that they're at the best level that they could be.
Right. So you had mentioned just now expansion, and that was something I wanted to ask you about in this interview. Is there a plan in terms of on the horizon of when that would happen? What cities? How many teams? It's been a while since the WNBA has expanded, and that's an exciting situation to have. And it'll finally allow, as you were always saying every time you're on, like every spot is so coveted in the league. We got to get more teams in there. So do you have any sort of insider updates about what's on the expansion horizon?
I wish I did. But going back to Kathy Engelbert, she was just interviewed recently, and she just said the most blanket statement that none of us WNBA fans or media wanted to hear. But she basically said, yeah, it could be anywhere from 2 to 5 years. And we don't know. We've narrowed it down to 10 cities that we are going to expand 2 teams into. And just all of these statements that don't really mean anything. They don't hold any weight. And it makes it so that we can't tie her to, well, you said 2025 and you said 2024. So she's not wanting to put that out there. But I think it's so interesting because you look at this draft, you look at next year's draft, which is going to be insane, with names like Paige Beckers, if she, chooses to come out, Caitlin Clark, all of these people and these players that have superstar level ability. And if they get on a team and they get waived in the training camp process, like so many first round draft picks do, if they're not able to play in the WNBA and they have to play overseas and not, capitalize on the momentum that's coming from college, it is not going to be a good look for the league. And I think people are really going to start to question Kathy Engelbert's leadership. They're going to start questioning, okay, we got these rounds of funding. Where is it going? Why aren't we, asking people to sponsor a team, or why aren't we teaming up with the NBA? Like, there's so many other options for us on the sidelines to ask the commissioner. And once those draft picks that were so great in college, that's going to be okay, we need a date, we need a year, we need a city, we need to start, getting things in cement to be able to say this is going to happen.
Yeah, because I think it's something with the NBA, it's always getting tossed around where they're like, Seattle and Vegas but at least like as time has gone on, they've been more and more committed to at least like making it seem like it's on the soon coming horizon. And you'd hope that would happen for the WNBA as well. And whether it's bringing back a team that used to exist or trying to find NBA teams that are open to having a WNBA partner as well, it just feels like there's lots of opportunities for it. It feels like there's fan interest in the league. It feels like there's investment interest in the league. And if people are going to keep buying up pickleball teams, I feel like we can get a couple more WNBA rosters for
Don't get me
an
started
actual
on pickleball.
sport.
We don't have the time. As an avid tennis player,
people,
I simply can't condone.
Yeah, you know how tennis is already geared towards people where I would rant about pickleball forever. It makes me so angry. It makes me so angry that young people are playing it. The sport is designed for people who are too old to play tennis. Play tennis until you're 65.
You should be banned from pickleball unless you've had 2 knee surgeries. There's no excuse to play it otherwise.
And it's so boring to watch because you just don't move. Anyway, WNBA is far more exciting and far more enticing.
But Jordan, if you had to guess, where do you think? Where do you think expansion teams will be, and where do you hope they will be? And maybe that's the same answer, but.
Well, I know that the Bay Area, San Francisco, is being led by Damian Lillard's mom and Elena Beard.
Amazing.
So they have really been funding and getting a investment group together. This has been going on for years. So I would assume they are really making some headway. So they would kind of be one of the first expansion teams. I would hope. I think the market is perfect. You have Chase Center. You have everything right there in the Bay Area. You also have a very competitive kind of amateur women's league that's in Oakland and the Bay Area that I'm sure a lot of players would want to kind of expand even to a training camp roster potentially right there in the Bay Area. And then I know that I've probably heard the most petition for is Philly. I think Philly fans really want a WNBA team, which I think Rihanna Stewart would probably want to go play for them as well because she used to play for the Philly Bells. Mm-hmm. But there are so many places, and you talk about teams wanting to be resurrected. I would want to bring back the Sacramento Monarchs because I was a huge fan of the Monarchs back in the day. They won a championship. Tisha Penicheiro, KARL Lawson. So I just feel like there's so much potential, and it seems like everybody wants this. So I think my question to Kathy Engelbert is like, what are the steps? Because you have people like Baron Davis, who's on Twitter being like, I want to buy a WNBA team. I want to be, and it just stops there. What happens after people are showing interest to say, I have the money, like, what do I need to do? It seems like that's where the conversation stops instead of starts, when people have the money and want to invest. And also in the WNBA, we're seeing right now, you have Aces and you have the Brooklyn Nets organization with the Liberty, people and owners that have a lot of money and they are investing their money into these teams. I don't think that's a surprise that that's where all the superstars are going, and that's where they feel like they are wanted and that they feel like they are a professional. And so you have owners that care, and you have some owners that have been in ownership for decades that have treated their teams as charity cases or a tax write-off or something in such a small nature. But yesterday's price is not today's price. So you got to bring the money to play. And these owners need to step up, or they need to sell their teams or have these other owners that have the bag to buy more teams. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, and after all the De'Erica Hamby drama, Mike and I speculated, like, well, what free agent's going to want to go play for the Aces? Well, Candace Parker, I guess. What was your take on that whole situation with De'Erica Hamby? I'm sure you've talked about it plenty, but I'm kind of interested to get your take on how that all played out.
Man, it was disappointing. It was really disappointing, and it's really a murky situation because it is a little bit of a, well, they said this and they said that and I said this, and it's not a lot of evidence to go off of when you're going against a lion like the Aces and their whole organization. I think that's where I feel for her. But the unfortunate part is, there was the ESPN special, free agency special, and they were talking about the situation, the whole crew. And Carolyn Peck, she said, well, let's look at the facts. She's still employed and she just got traded and she still has a job. And it's like, okay, time out. That is not how we should be talking about this. Twitter ate her alive for that statement, because this is a human who is literally creating another human. And we should not be talking about it as, well, she still has a job, she still has a contract. This goes against what she felt that the Aces had kind of told her from the beginning, that this is a family atmosphere and that, it's women empowerment. It's a woman president, vice president. There's a female coach, like all of these things who are all moms. And she felt very betrayed by that. And the silence from the Aces up until like last week, where they released a very general statement because they have another investigation going on, that they're like, well, let's start with this first one and then we'll get into the other investigation about our salary cap. But the silence was really loud to me, and they weren't even able to say, no, we care about De'Erica, or no, that didn't happen. We're going to look internally. They didn't say anything. And it just felt like De'Erica was kind of standing alone, saying, well, I'm happy to play for the Sparks. I don't want to take anything away, but I'm really hurt by what just happened. And we need to kind of rally around her. And I feel very bad for everyone on the Aces team when De'Erica Hamby comes into town, because I think she's going to go all the way off if she were to play next season.
Cut to the gif of pregnant Rihanna floating up to the sky singing, "Bitch better have my money."
Yes.
But yeah, what's especially disappointing is that you have the CBA that recently gave a bunch of benefits to players that become pregnant.
Yeah.
So for those incentives to not actually become benefits, but instead become disincentives for teams to keep you around, like, then it's just doing exactly the opposite of what you want. You want those in place so that they treat you better. You don't want those in place so that the team goes, oh man, we have to pay her full salary instead of 50% of it. Oh, I guess we got to ship her out of town. Like, it just sucks that players and the players union would fight for something to be in a CBA negotiation, and then the owners will go, all right, well, now we're going to use this thing you bargained for against you. It's just very unfortunate. So I'm very glad that De'Erica called them out in such thorough detail on Instagram. And I think that's what led to the Aces silence, is that De'Erica had like a 5-page thing explaining how bad it was. And I don't think the Aces had any response, because she made it look really bad as it was. And like, what can you say?
Yeah, exactly. And going off of the CBA too, it was such a win for all of these players who were pregnant before, and that you were able to bring childcare on away trips and all of these things that, De'Erica was able to benefit from, because she already has Amaya and has a daughter in the league already. So I'm sure it was such a shock of, okay, we had everything in place, but is there, and I need to go back and read the CBA, like, is there a fine print about trades being pregnant? Is that a part of it? Is that in there? If not, then that now needs to be added in the next one. I think nobody really thought anybody would really do that. I don't know if that was even the level, but it's also, state and local laws. Like, there's a lot at play here when you have somebody who is employed by you and who is pregnant, and you are saying, okay, we're not firing you. We're just, sending you somewhere else. And it was after we learned that you were pregnant. So there's a lot of things at play. And I definitely think that was why there was this delay in a statement from the Aces, because there's also laws that could have been broken. We need to really investigate. And the WNBPA is also saying, well, we care about the player. We care about her and her insurances and all of these things to make sure that that is stabilized. So it's just a bigger conversation, and you just hate to see it. That's really the overarching theme here.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point about how people always have this weird divide in their brains of like, well, sports are sports and they're not subject to the same laws and rules of society, but like it is still a job. There is still an employer. People are employed by someone. And I always think about that when there's like a physical altercation, like, you know, Draymond punches Jordan Poole and then he's just back with the team. Like if Jim goes into his accounting office and punches Jeff in the head, that's probably not going to be how it plays out in the real world. But somehow sports are like, well, there's so much tension and energy and their testosterone and all that stuff where it's like, yeah, but it is still a job.
They still have a paycheck. They still got to clock in. Exactly. All of these factors are, I think a lot of people just in general in sports have a hard time separating that. You just see how fans talk to players while they're on the court, how they talk about them on social media. And it's like, okay, Jim, if I came to your job as you're filling out, you know, your spreadsheet and I'm just talking mess to you the whole time, you would not like that at all. But that's people just forget that these are not only athletes who have a job, but they are humans. And I think the whole Dearica Hamby situation is like, she is a person and you just shouldn't treat people that way, especially a mom, especially a person who is about to deliver a baby. She said her blood pressure was high. She was so stressed. All of this whole situation just impacted her pregnancy because it impacted her body. So it's just, you have to remember that these athletes are humans first.
Right, because you know what's hard enough as it is? Being pregnant. You know what you don't have to do on top of that? Relocate your entire family and find a new house and move to a new state and also deal with the fact that it's a dramatic, it's not even like a regular trade. It was a dramatic, like out of nowhere, very negatively received and seemed like a really gross situation trade. Like it's just, you don't need that extra stress in your life. You want to just like be put down. It would be bad enough just for anyone to have to go through it, but then specifically on top of all of that, to be an expecting mother, like, come on.
Can't imagine.
So
I just want to be laying on the couch when I am pregnant, not having to do any of those things. And let alone like she's still working out because she feels this pressure of having to come back and, you know, having her son and then being able to snap her body back into shape to play. And that was the pressure that the Aces were putting on her as well. It was like, actually, we've seen your pregnant belly and your pregnant workouts. We don't think you're going to add to the team. So we're going to let you go. Like, that is insane. I can't imagine.
Well, just to lighten the mood a little bit on the topic of moms, my mom, shout out to Deb Mamawala, is an avid listener of this podcast, and she has never been to a WNBA game, and she has expressed interest in going to her first WNBA game, probably a Liberty game this coming summer. If you'd be willing to indulge me, Jordan, can you talk to Deb directly and let her know what she can look forward to in her first WNBA game experience?
Deb. Wow, you are in for a treat, especially the Liberty. They were nearly selling out arenas. The crowd looked like they were going crazy. The teal is an amazing color, Deb. Like the color scheme is perfect. Make sure to get you a shirt, a jersey. I have one.
Deb does look good in teal. Let it be known.
I mean, a lot of us do, Deb. I don't doubt you. You're going to see some of the best players in the world play in their prime. I'm hoping your son can get you some courtside seats. I mean, come on, Deb, you deserve it.
Well, let's not necessarily put that out into the universe, but we'll see what we can do. We'll get a couple more sponsors and then we'll reconsider.
Look, if you want the courtside, my hack was I went to an Indiana Fever game courtside, $75. Like, not expensive to go courtside in those non-major markets. Like, it was not bad at all. I got to see Diana Taurasi courtside there. And then even in Phoenix, it wasn't that bad when I went for the Diana Taurasi Sue Bird game. I want to say it was like $100. Yeah. Like, get in now before people catch up and realize that prices should be astronomically higher. I'm sure Liberty tickets are going to be out the charts, though.
Love
especially
it.
with the new people they brought in, the fact that it's a bigger arena.
Yeah,
But like,
I want that.
Good
I
for the
want
league.
that. I think that's great for the league. And, the Aces and the Liberty, they play 4 times this season. Like, all of those should be on national television. Yeah. All of those should be sold out. Like, that is amazing. And that was set in the schedule before all this happened. So it's just a gift for us to be able to experience that. So I feel like it would be silly for the WNBA to not capitalize on this moment that is happening right now. I want prices to go up. I want gear to be everywhere. Everyone needs a jersey. The players need to get a percentage of that. Like, there's so much that could catapult from this.
That's wild that the WNBA doesn't have that. That's so weird that they don't get a cut of the jersey sales. I didn't know that until I think Kelsey Plum talked about it in a podcast. And that is absurd to me. That is absurd that they don't get that cut. I want to like send Sue Bird a check for the jersey I bought. Like, come on.
Well, that could be it. Just start up a GoFundMe.
She's probably doing fine.
Sue's doing fine. But
I think Sue's okay.
Start a little GoFundMe that every time you get a jersey, just kick a percentage to your favorite player.
I think there's going to be a lot of other fun storylines this year. Notably, Brittany Griner being back. I know she hasn't like officially said if she's going to play, when she's going to play. Obviously, got to give her mental health time, because I'm sure that was not something that could be easy to go through and to try to recover from. And then on top of all that, try to get back into basketball shape. Do you have any thoughts about that? Or are there other like things this season that you're looking out for? Like, oh, it's going to be this particular thing that we should look out for. I mean, if BG gets back on the court, that would be incredible. And that would be another thing, like put that game on national TV for sure.
Yes. In her statement, Brittany Griner said right when she returned that she was going to play basketball this season and she was going to play for the Phoenix Mercury. She was a free agent as well. So that was kind of in the conversation that kind of put that to rest of, okay, she said she was playing and she said she was playing for Phoenix. So we have to kind of go with her word there. One of my favorite stories that I've just been repeating is right when BG came home, she put on her hoop shorts, she put on her hoop shoes, and she dunked a basketball. Like, that was one of the first things that she did. So the love is still there. She still has passion for the game, and it's going to be such an incredibly emotional and powerful moment when she steps back on the court. And I feel like I can speak for all BG fans and all WNBA fans. We expect absolutely nothing from her this season. We just hope that she is happy and safe and home and able to do what she loves. But we are not expecting a double-double every night. I don't want to hear anything about her stats. I don't care about Phoenix's record. I'm just happy that it is not last year's storyline of, will she ever be home? Like, that is a complete contrast from last season, and I am so happy for that. So we are all going to be following that storyline. Phoenix plays on WNBA's opening day, so that's just going to be a moment for all of us to kind of hold hands and just be happy and be excited to see Brittany Griner play basketball again. And the storyline, I think there's so many new coaches. That's something that's going to be talked about. What's the new coach that's going to turn their team around? Is it the Fever? Is it, Dallas? Is it the Sparks? Like, there are so many shifts in the head coaching space that I think the league has never seen before. People are getting fired. People are getting hired. They were left and right, it seemed like, for a couple weeks there. So what coach is going to have the biggest impact on their team? Which players are really going to buy in? What players are really going to want to give it all for this new coach and their vision for this franchise? So that's what I'm going to be looking out for. But just watch the WNBA. It's so hard because it's February and all of this free agency stuff happened at the beginning of the month. I'm like, okay, hold on till May. Keep that same energy for a couple months. We're not there yet, but just Just keep it, inch it along, so you're there if you're ready for May.
You can have this drama here. You can watch March Madness in the women's game to kind of see who the next couple of people coming into the league will be. Keep an eye out for some of those players. And then, lead it right into once the NBA season ends, WNBA season begins, and it's perfect. To get back to your coaching comment, I do think the most impactful coach will be the lack of Derek Fisher in Los Angeles. I think him, congrats to you. You have finally removed the pariah. As a Knicks fan who had Derek Fisher as our head coach, I know how bad of a situation that is. It's the absolute worst. So just, I know you got married this year and that's a big deal, but lack of Derek Fisher's got to be
really close. It's like good. My husband and then no Derek Fisher on the sidelines for the Sparks. It's very close. I think my husband would actually agree with that statement. But yeah, the Sparks, she was just rough last year with the whole Liz Cambage situation, with the Derek Fisher firing, with the interim head coach, which you could just tell the players did not respect or care to play for. So it was a dumpster fire. But 90% of the team were free agents this year. Some left, some came back. But you have, I just always think about Jordan Canada specifically. I know as a Storm fan, you love her. I feel like she had a breakout year last year, being in our hometown of LA. But then you have Kurt Miller come in and he brings Jasmine Thomas, who is his favorite point guard and his favorite player. And she signs in the offseason, and Jordan Canada signs a training camp contract. And I was just kind of heartbroken for her. Where does she kind of fit in when you have this great point guard? You have a lot of guards on this team, but Jordan Canada was the person on this team last year. And it just goes to show that it's year to year, because someone could come in, shake everything up, not like your game, have their favorite player in their position, bring people that they love, and you're kind of just stranded. Where else does she go? She wants to play in LA, so that's tough.
Well, I know where Jordan Canada can go. She can go back to Seattle.
I mean, where else could you be that would be closest to Canada other than Seattle?
I would love to have her reunite with Jewel Lloyd. I'm actually, I am in an interesting spot now with the Storm, where I've been very blessed, where I really started rooting for the Storm when I moved to Seattle in 2016. So I've seen 2 finals runs. I'm a very spoiled Storm fan. So now that they're in more of a rebuilding thing, I don't know. I think it's going to be fun. I think Jewel Lloyd just completely balling out is going to be great. We're taking, Ezzy Magbagor is going to have more free reign down there. And I forget the name. I like the Storm are just taking risks on people. Who's the girl that we just signed from Puerto Rico that was playing? Oh
yeah, Irela Gutierrez. Yes. She was on the Sparks. She's a great pickup. Great pickup. My husband is a huge fan of hers because, with Derek Fisher not knowing what he's doing, he let her and Taya Cooper go last season, and we just didn't feel like that was fair. She was kind of just on the cusp of something great. Went overseas, balled out, showed on her resume yes, I could hoop. Mm-hmm. And now that brought her back to the league. So she's a perfect example of okay, got waived from one team, but my story's not done. You guys also got Kia Nurse, so you're good.
Yep.
You're good.
I think we're going to be fine. We're going to be a fun team to watch. We've got upside, and I think, Jewel Lloyd's just going to have free reign to score a whole bunch of points a night.
That's always fun.
I think it'll be just a fun new way. Look, especially when you go to Storm games, I don't know if they still do it, but when I was living there, every time Jewel Lloyd scored, they would play some sort of cash register noise, because her nickname's the Gold Mamba. It would make cash register noise, and then they'd show her on the Jumbotron with one of those big fake $ chains, holding it up, and then CGI diamonds and jewels would rain behind her. Oh, it was a delight every time she scored a basket. It's so fun.
That is fun.
And that's why going to games is so good. There's so many fun things that all the teams put together. So to bring it back to Deb, you're going to have a great time at any game. They really put a lot into the product. It's always just so fun and wholesome, and everyone is happy. And I can't recommend enough for anyone listening. if you live near a WNBA team or you're going to be traveling to a city that has a team, go to a game. It's just a delight, and it's a fun time, fun league, fun season, a lot of fun moves. And this was really fun talking to you about it, Jordan. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
If people want to find you doing stuff, where can they find you?
Oh, I'm doing a lot of stuff these days.
You are.
No, but you can find me on Instagram at Jordan Liggins or on Twitter at _Jordan Liggins. I'll be covering the Pac-12 for the rest of the season. We have the Pac-12 tournament coming up. Some great future WNBA stars that are in the Pac-12, that's for sure. We're trying to make sure we get some recognition because the Pac-12, we're great, but I feel like we're only talking about the UConns and the South Carolinas. So pay attention to the Pac-12. The women's basketball is amazing there. I'm on the Women's Sports Network. My writings, my musings. I'll be covering the W this season. So just follow along.
Amazing. Jordan, I'm laughing because I feel like you're like me, where around this time of year, you're just swimming in like W-2s and 1099s.
So many 1099s. I think I had 11. They got 11 1099s. Yeah. I'm giving to my tax accountant. I'm like, I'm sorry, dude. Like, hey, it was money. It came in. So here's the paperwork.
I think all three of us are in that same boat because I get a 1099 for each different venue that I do a live show at. And yeah,
my God.
It's very fun. It's very fun just to...
Especially when you keep moving.
I keep moving. Like, there is no purchase that the opposite of regret. I spend 0 seconds sweating the invoice that my tax accountant charges me after taxes. And he's like, he could be like, yeah, Mike, it cost you $30,000 for my services this year. I'd be like, cool, where do I sign? Like, there is nothing that would make me want to do it. I have spreadsheets upon spreadsheets upon columns upon PDFs. Like, it's never good when your tax documents are so big that you have to send zip folders. That's where I'm at with tax season. So I think we're all in the same boat there.
Yes, we are. Well, the life of a hustler. Hey, that's what we're doing. Go.
Well, Jordan, thank you for coming on. We'll have to see how the season goes, and perhaps we'll have you back around, season time, draft time, whatever fun stuff comes on. The people know you're not a stranger to the show, and we'll have to make sure we get you back in the mix.
Yay! I would love to be back. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Horror Sources, hosted by Adam Amawala and Mike Schubert. This episode was edited by Kensei Soramaki. The social media is by both of the Horse Boys. The art is by Allison Wakeman. The music is by Bettina Campomanes, and the website is by Kelly Schubert.
Thank you to our producer-level patrons, Polly Burge, Kendra Hadley, Salvatore Testa, Trust the Process, Siobhan Ellsbury, She's... Damn it! I don't think that's ever happened, and it just did.
Let's go. Keep
he
it
sells seashells. Don't go chasing taco falls. Bang, bang. Roast beef debris. Kay the Conqueror. Basketball is life 2. Michaela loves Allison. Denver steamed nuggets, aka Lisa, who's going to be attending my show in Denver on Tuesday, March 7th. Roast beef debris. If you still live in the Denver area, come out as well. Anna Borgelli, weird questions. 9-time All-Star Steph Curry for 3.
Bang, 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 bang.
That sounded like 9 to me. Lobster Bisquet, and thank you again for the great question. Hi, Trish. Ginger Spurs Boy, Nicole Arsenal, Something Mean About the Knicks, Stubby Boardman Gets Paid, and Chase Underulo. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Horse Hoops and on Twitter at Horse_Hoops because...
Horse Hoops worked for the Las Vegas Aces, and they were in charge of trading away De'Arca Henry for being pregnant.
Rude.
It was them all along.
Rude. Ban them and take away their fake blue check mark. All right. Go to our website, horsehoops.com, for links to some of the fun stuff we talked about today, including All-Star Game highlights and some WNBA news.
And if you want to support the show, you can do so on patreon.com/horsehoops, get bonus access to content as well as exclusive merchandise. And also, if you want to support us, you can go and get tickets to our virtual live stream on March 1st. You can go to bit.ly/horse3123 and get tickets. It'll be fun, silly, and just an overall good time. We're going to close out this episode by saying something on the count of 3, as we always do.
I got something for you.
Oh, okay.
We can do 2 of them. What do you got?
What do you got? Well, I was going to say fuck KARL Malone because the NBA All-Star Weekend was in Utah, and they put him in a bunch of stuff, and he had this quote where someone just straight up asked him, like, do you feel bad about the stuff you did? And he said, no. Basically, he said
that's personal. I don't talk about that anymore.
Yeah, he said that's my personal life and it's in the past. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Oh, cool. Okay, that's how the world works. Great. What were you thinking? It's probably something more fun.
It's a lot more fun. Let's just first say fuck you, KARL Malone, because that's evergreen, and frankly, we should say it every episode. If anyone wants to make their patron name fuck you, KARL Malone, we welcome that. That's you're totally welcome to do that. Also, John Stockton, not great.
Nope, not good.
Even if he was nice to my dad, still not great.
Nope.
So, one of our avid listeners, it's my friend Freddie. He's a big Knicks fan. You'd get along with him great. And as we record this episode, his wife Vanessa, who's also a lovely person, is about to give birth to their second daughter. So by the time Freddie is listening to this, when he is, I'm sure, very, very tired from changing diapers and wake up in the middle of the night, I want to throw in a little congrats Freddie and Vanessa in there.
Okay, sweet. Congrats, Freddie and Vanessa, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Congrats Freddie and Vanessa.
Awesome stuff. Love it.